The deep space around Orion's edge was silent, cold, and endless. Stars glimmered like frozen tears against the blackness. Captain Leo sat alone in the cockpit of his small cargo ship, the Nomad's Whisper, sipping lukewarm coffee and staring at the blinking lights on his control panel. He was tired. Another long run through dead space carrying machine parts nobody cared about. He often told himself he liked the quiet, but tonight, the silence felt too heavy, too still. Then it came. A sound, a soft, broken whisper through the ship's radio. "Please, human, pretend to be my daddy. For just one day." Leo froze. The coffee cup slipped from his hand, spilling across the console. "Repeat that," he muttered, adjusting the comms. The message played again, faint but real, carried on static and fear. "Please, human, pretend to be my daddy. For just one day." Leo frowned. He checked his signal range, no nearby ships, no known colonies. The source was coming from an abandoned research sector, a place long left to dust and ghosts. Could be a trap, he told himself. Pirates sometimes fake distress calls to lure in victims. But this voice... This wasn't a trickster's voice. It was a child's, small, trembling, desperate. He leaned back, thinking. Every pilot was told the same rule. Never chase ghost signals in dead zones. Still, something deep inside him stirred. Maybe it was the memory of his own daughter, long gone now. Or maybe it was just human instinct. He sighed and started typing in the coordinates. "All right, kid," he said quietly. "Let's see who you are." The ship cut through the void, engines humming low. Dust clouds swirled like smoke as the Nomad's Whisper entered the edge of a wrecked outpost. The place floated in pieces, shattered metal, broken towers, cracked domes, all orbiting a small dead moon. The scanners showed no life forms. But the voice came again, faint and broken. "Please, hurry, they're coming back." Leo's hands tightened on the controls. "Who's coming back?" he whispered, even though no one could answer. He locked onto the signal and landed on one of the intact platforms. The airlock hissed open with a rusty groan. He stepped out, blaster ready, his flashlight cutting through the dust-filled dark. The hallway was silent except for the echo of his boots. Strange symbols covered the walls. Alien writing, glowing faintly blue. The deeper he went, the stronger the signal became. Then, behind a half-open door, he heard a soft sound. Crying. Leo pushed the door open slowly. Inside was a small containment chamber. Broken screens flickered weakly. And there, curled up beside a shattered pod, was a child. Not human, but small and fragile-looking. Her skin shimmered faint green under the dim light. And her eyes, large and silver, watched him with fear and confusion. She tried to crawl away, but her leg was bleeding. Hey, Leo said softly, lowering his weapon. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The girl didn't answer. She just stared at him, trembling. He took a slow step forward. "You sent the message, didn't you?" Her lips moved. "You, human?" "Yeah," he said, kneeling beside her. "Captain Leo, and you are?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Aya." Her voice was weak, but her eyes held a strange light, like tiny stars trapped in glass. Leo pulled out a small med patch from his belt. "You're hurt," he said, gently placing it over her wound. "This will help." Aya flinched at first, but then relaxed as the patch warmed her skin. For a moment, they just stared at each other, two strangers in a place forgotten by time. Then, softly, Aya said, "Please, pretend to be my daddy." Leo blinked. "What?" Her eyes filled with tears. "They will come back soon. They hurt me before. They said no one would care. But if they see I have a daddy, they won't take me away." Her voice broke. "Just for one day. Please." Leo looked around the destroyed lab, scattered papers, broken glass, dried stains of something not quite blood. Whatever happened here wasn't good. Whoever they were, he didn't want to meet them. He looked at Aya again. She was shaking, clutching a torn blanket to her chest. He took a deep breath. "All right, kid. For one day I'll be your dad." Her eyes widened as if she couldn't believe it. Then she smiled, a small, shaky smile, and whispered, "Thank you." At that moment, a deep rumble shook the floor. Lights flickered red. The ship's sensors blared over his comms. Unknown crafts approaching. Leo grabbed Aya and pulled her close. "Hold on, kid. Looks like we've got company." Outside, through the cracked window, he saw dark shapes moving through the void, sleek ships with glowing red marks, circling like predators. Aya's voice trembled. They found me. Leo tightened his grip on her. Not for long. He carried her toward the exit as alarms wailed, his boots thudding against metal. Behind them, sparks rained from the ceiling and the sound of engines roared closer. For the first time in years, Leo's heart raced not from fear, but from purpose. He wasn't just a cargo pilot anymore. He was a protector, and this little alien girl was now his mission. The ship's engines roared to life as Captain Leo slammed the hatch shut behind them. The old freighter rattled like a tin can in a storm. Aya clung to his arm, her small hands trembling. Through the cockpit window, the alien ships grew larger, their red lights blinking like hungry eyes. Hold tight, Leo said, pulling a lever. The ship lifted off the ruined station with a heavy jolt. Metal debris spun past as they broke free of the gravity field. Alarms screamed across the dashboard, but Leo didn't care. He just needed distance. The alien ships fired. Blinding beams of light sliced through the blackness. Leo jerked the ship left, then down, dodging blasts that crackled too close. Come on, old girl, he muttered to the ship. Don't fail me now. Aya sat silently beside him, her eyes wide with fear. Her voice shook as she whispered, They know I escaped. Who are they? Leo asked, steering hard toward an asteroid field ahead. What do they want with you? Aya looked down at her small hands. They made me, she said softly. In that lab. I was not born. I was built. Leo turned to her, frowning. Built? You mean like an experiment? She nodded. They called me Project Seed. They said I was a mistake. Her voice cracked. When the war ended, they left. They didn't want to take mistakes with them. Leo's chest tightened. He had seen war, seen orphans and broken people, but never something like this. A living child abandoned like junk. He flew the ship into the asteroid field. Giant rocks drifted slowly, glowing with cold blue ice. The alien ships followed, firing again, but Leo used the asteroids as cover. He twisted through narrow gaps, his fingers flying over the controls. One beam grazed their wing. The ship shuddered violently. Sparks burst from the panel. Leo cursed under his breath. They're not giving up. Aya gripped her seat, staring out at the shadows. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. I can help, she said suddenly. Leo blinked. Help? How? She reached out, touching one of the broken screens. Her fingertips shimmered and the damaged circuits lit up again. The whole dashboard flickered to life. Leo's jaw dropped. You just fixed my ship by touching it? She nodded slowly. I can talk to machines. That's why they made me. They wanted someone who could control ships, weapons, everything. Leo stared at her, amazed. Kid, you might just be the most valuable thing in the galaxy. Her eyes filled with tears. That's what they said too, valuable, but not alive. The words hit Leo like a punch. He'd spent years drifting through space alone, half convinced he didn't care about anything anymore. But hearing that made something inside him burn. He leaned forward, hands steady on the controls. You're alive, Aya, and right now we're going to prove it. He pushed the engines to full power. The freighter darted between asteroids, weaving through deadly gaps. The alien ships tried to follow, but Leo was smarter. He angled toward a massive asteroid, its surface cracked like a frozen ocean. At the last second, he dived behind it, cut the engines, and drifted silently into the shadows. The alien ship swept past, searching. They didn't see the Nomad's whisper hidden in the dark. Leo waited. 1 minute, 2. The scanner showed empty space again. He exhaled slowly. We're clear. For now. Aya looked at him, eyes glowing softly in the dim light. You saved me, Leo chuckled. You did most of the saving, kid. I just drove the bus. She smiled faintly, and for the first time it looked like real happiness. The ship hummed quietly. Leo leaned back, studying her. So, Aya, he said, if you can talk to machines, maybe you can tell me what that lab was for. Aya hesitated. They wanted to make a heart, she whispered. A heart made of energy that never dies. They tried to put it inside me, but they failed. It hurt too much. She touched her chest where faint light pulsed beneath her skin. Leo frowned. That light. Is it dangerous? She shook her head. Only if they take it out. Leo stared out into space. Whoever they were, he knew they wouldn't stop until they got that light back. He looked at her and forced a grin. Well, looks like your pretend dad's got a lot more work to do. Aya tilted her head. Pretend? Leo smiled. Yeah, for now. She leaned against him, small and quiet. The stars outside shimmered like scattered diamonds. For a moment, the warships, the danger, the fear, all of it disappeared. Leo realized something strange. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. But far behind them, deep in the black-red lights flickered again. The hunters hadn't given up. They were just waiting. And soon they would come for Aya again. The quiet inside the Nomad's whisper didn't last long. Leo had just started repairing the burnt control panel when the radar flashed red again. Beep, beep, beep. The screen showed 3 red dots approaching fast. Damn it, he muttered. They found us. Aya looked up, her silver eyes wide with fear. They always find me, she whispered. Leo grabbed the flight stick. Not this time, kid. Not while I'm flying. The engines roared and the ship leapt forward like a frightened hawk. Asteroids flashed past the windows as Leo pushed the throttle to maximum. The red dots on the screen followed, closer, faster, hunting. Behind them, the alien ships fired. Beams of red light tore through the dark, slicing chunks off the asteroids. One blast grazed the ship's tail, shaking everything. Aya screamed and covered her ears. Leo gritted his teeth. Hang on, Aya. I'll get us out of this mess. He dove the ship between 2 giant rocks, so close that metal scraped against stone. The old freighter groaned in protest, but it held together. Can't keep this up forever, he muttered. Aya peeked over the dashboard, her small hands gripping the edge. I can help again, she said quickly. Leo glanced at her. What do you mean? If I touch the ship, I can make it faster. I can talk to its heart, talk to its what? Leo blinked, then shook his head. All right, do your magic. Aya placed her hand on the control board. Her fingers glowed softly, and for a second Leo thought he heard a faint hum, like the ship was purring. Then the engines roared louder, brighter, smoother. Leo stared at the speed gauge. It was climbing. Whoa, kid, you just gave my ship a soul. Aya smiled weakly. It likes you. It wants to run. The freighter surged ahead, weaving through debris like it was born for racing. The alien ship struggled to keep up. Their blasts missed, streaking harmlessly across space. Leo's heart pounded. He hadn't felt alive like this in years. That's it. Let's show them what a human and a kid can do. But just as he started to grin, one of the alien ships changed course. It fired a cluster of glowing orbs. Aya gasped. Those are trackers. What do? They follow my signal. They're locked on me. Leo cursed under his breath. Of course they are. He slammed a button, opening the ship's cargo hatch. Hold on tight. He twisted the ship sharply, spinning through a narrow asteroid gap. The trackers followed, smashing into the rocks. Explosions flashed behind them like red fireworks. Leo whooped. That's what you get for chasing me, you glowing idiots. Aya giggled, just once, small and surprised. It was the first time Leo heard her laugh. For a moment, he forgot they were running for their lives. But the radar reminded him. Another wave of ships was closing in. Bigger ones this time. He frowned. They're calling in reinforcements. Guess we're too popular now. Aya's face turned pale. They want me back. They'll never stop. Leo slowed the ship just enough to look at her. Then we'll give them something to chase, she blinked. What do you mean? Leo grinned. A little human trick I learned during the war. He opened the weapons bay, what little he had, and launched 2 decoy pods. They carried chunks of metal and a scrambled signal emitter. The enemy scanners would see 2 Aya signals moving in different directions. The aliens split, half chasing the decoys. Aya stared in wonder. You tricked them. Never underestimate an old human pilot, Leo said, smirking. We survived wars by being too stubborn to die. She smiled faintly. You sound like a real dad. The words hit him harder than any blast. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. He cleared his throat. Yeah, well, don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation to keep. They drifted into a quiet zone beyond the asteroid field, a stretch of glowing blue mist known as the Veil of Varn. It was a dangerous nebula, full of magnetic storms and hidden energy waves, but it also made scanners useless. This will hide us, Leo said, at least for a while. Aya looked out the window in awe. The nebula glowed softly, painting the ship in colors of violet and gold. It's beautiful, she whispered. Leo smiled, exhausted but proud. Yeah, not bad for a hiding spot. For a few long minutes, there was silence. Just the hum of the ship, the glow of the nebula, and the soft breathing of the 2 who had survived together. Then Aya turned to him, her small voice almost lost in the hum. Leo? Yeah, kid? What happens after today? He looked at her, her bright eyes reflecting the stars.
After today?
He said softly. We'll see about tomorrow. Aya nodded, curling up beside him in the co-pilot seat. Within minutes, she was asleep. Leo stared out at the stars, his mind racing. He didn't know what she really was or what those aliens wanted, but one thing was clear. He wasn't leaving her. He whispered quietly, Sleep easy, Aya. Your dad's got this. Outside the ship, deep in the mist, faint red lights flickered again. The hunters had not given up. They were watching, waiting, and the real chase had only just begun. The nomad's whisper drifted silently through the glowing fog of the Vale of Varn. Outside, the nebula shimmered like liquid light, purple, gold and blue waves swirling in slow motion. Inside the cockpit, everything was calm for the first time in hours. Leo leaned back in his chair, finally breathing easy. Aya sat beside him, her small hands folded in her lap, watching the colors outside the window. It's pretty, she whispered. Leo smiled tiredly. Yeah, pretty and deadly. Those clouds out there, they'll fry a ship's engines if we stay too long. Aya's silver eyes widened.
Then why are we here?
He smirked. Because the bad guys don't like getting fried either. She giggled softly, but her smile didn't last. Her eyes drifted to the glowing mist, her reflection trembling in the glass. They won't stop, Leo. They never stop. Leo's voice softened. You mean those ships? Who are they, really? Aya hesitated, her small fingers pressed against the console. They are called the Zareth. My makers, Leo frowned. Your makers? She nodded. They were losing the war. Humans were stronger, faster, smarter. So they tried to make something new, something born of both life and machine. Leo turned to look at her fully. You? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Yes, I'm the last of Project Seed, Leo frowned. Seed? They wanted to grow energy inside living flesh, she explained, touching her chest. A heart that could power a ship, heal wounds, even destroy worlds. But they failed. Every other child they made died. Leo's breath caught. And you didn't? She shook her head. I didn't die, I changed. Her skin began to shimmer faintly as she spoke. A soft light spread from her chest like a pulse of blue fire beneath her skin, the whole cockpit filled with gentle light. Leo stared, wide-eyed. Aya, you're glowing. I can't stop it when I remember, she said, her voice trembling. When they hurt me, they tried to take my heart out. But it burned them. It burned everything. She turned away, tears glimmering in her eyes. That's why they call me a mistake. Leo's throat felt tight. He wanted to say something, but words felt too small. Instead, he reached out and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Aya, listen to me. You're not a mistake. You're a miracle. They just didn't see it. She looked up at him, surprised. Miracle? Yeah, he said with a small smile. You fixed my ship, you outsmarted half a fleet, and you made me care again. That's more than most people manage in a lifetime. For a moment she smiled back, small and shy, but before Leo could say anything more, the ship's lights flickered. The engines gave a low rumble. Uh-oh, Leo muttered. I knew this fog was bad news. He pulled up the power readings. The numbers were dropping fast. The nebula's draining our energy. We'll be sitting ducks in 5 minutes. Aya stood quickly. I can help again. Leo shook his head. You've done enough, kid. Rest. But Aya stepped closer to the main reactor chamber. Her hands glowed brighter now, the blue light pulsing in rhythm with the ship's hum. It's okay, she said quietly. The ship listens to me. Before Leo could stop her, she pressed her palms to the reactor wall. A bright flash filled the room, white and gold and blue. The metal walls vibrated like a heartbeat. The dead engines came alive again, humming strong and steady. Leo shielded his eyes. Aya, stop. You'll burn yourself out. But she stood calmly, her hair floating slightly as if caught in invisible wind. I can feel it, she whispered. The ship is happy now. Then just as suddenly as it began, the light faded. Aya stumbled. Leo caught her before she hit the ground. Aya, hey. Stay with me. She blinked weakly, her skin dimming back to normal. I'm okay, she said softly. Just tired. Leo helped her sit, his voice shaking. You're more than a machine. You're alive in ways nobody understands. Aya looked at him sleepily. Maybe, but my heart won't last forever. When it's gone, I'll stop glowing. I'll stop everything. Leo's stomach dropped. That's not happening. Not on my watch. He stood and began checking the scanners. If your heart's running out of power, we'll find a way to recharge it. Humans are good at fixing impossible things. Aya gave a tiny laugh. You really are like a dad. Leo looked down at her. Guess I'm starting to believe it. Outside the ship, the nebula rippled, and deep within the fog, something stirred. A massive shadow moved, slow and patient. Red eyes blinked in the mist. Leo didn't notice yet, but Aya did. Her eyes widened. They're here, she whispered. The Zareth found us again. Leo turned sharply to the radar, and his face hardened. Then it's time for another miracle. He pulled the lever, firing the engines to full power. The ship blazed through the glowing fog, engines roaring, Aya's faint light glowing beside him. Behind them, huge shapes followed, hungry, relentless, and silent. The chase wasn't over. It was just beginning. The Nomad's whisper tore through the glowing fog, engines screaming. Behind it, 3 massive Zareth warships emerged from the mist, their red lights pulsing like the heartbeat of a monster. The nebula twisted around them, crackling with lightning. Leo gripped the controls so tight his knuckles turned white. They're faster now, he muttered. Aya sat beside him, pale and tired. They're angry. I can feel it. Yeah? Well, they can be as angry as they want. We're not stopping. He jerked the ship hard to the left, diving through a cluster of bright clouds. Energy storms flashed outside like thunder trapped in space. The whole ship shook, panels rattling loose. Sparks flew. Aya held her seat, her eyes glowing faintly. Leo, the storm is too strong. If we go deeper, the ship will break. Leo didn't look away from the window. Then let's brake after we lose them. He pushed the throttle again, but suddenly the lights on the dashboard went red. A loud alarm screamed, warning, power failure, Leo cursed. Not now. The ship slowed, sputtering. Blue lightning wrapped around the hull like living snakes. The nebula was draining the engines again. Aya turned toward the window and froze. Leo, she whispered. Look. In the distance, the mist cleared for a moment, revealing a huge black structure floating in the void. It looked like a fortress made of glass and metal, spinning slowly, surrounded by debris. Leo narrowed his eyes. That's no asteroid. What is it? Aya's voice shook. That's the Zareth's old research station. My home, Leo stared. Your home? The one they left you in. She nodded weakly. Yes, and they're leading us there. It's a trap. Leo slammed a fist on the console. Of course it is. Behind them, the warships closed in, forming a triangle. Beams of red energy lanced toward them. The first shot hit the rear shield. Metal screamed and burned. The second hit the engine. The ship lurched violently. Alarms wailed. Aya fell forward, but Leo caught her. You okay, kid? She nodded shakily. They're not trying to destroy us, she whispered. They're trying to capture me alive. Not happening, Leo said through clenched teeth. He looked at the old station ahead. A dangerous idea began forming in his mind. Aya saw his expression. Leo, what are you thinking? He smirked. Something stupid and heroic. He flipped a few switches, redirecting the last of the ship's power to the thrusters. The Nomad's whisper shot forward, straight toward the giant black station. Leo, Aya cried. You're flying into their base. Exactly. They won't expect a madman to crash through their front door. The Zareth warships followed, firing wildly. Red bolts sliced through the dark. One grazed the side of the freighter, tearing open a small vent. The cabin pressure dropped slightly and warning lights flashed again. Leo gritted his teeth. Hold together, old girl. Just a little longer. The station grew larger on the screen. Dark towers, broken antennas, glowing red symbols. Aya's breathing quickened. They built that place to test energy weapons, she said softly. If we go in there, we'll give them back their mistake, Leo finished grimly. She looked at him, confused. What do you mean? Leo hit a button. The ship's reactor began to overload. We'll overload the energy core. It'll blow this place sky high. Aya's eyes widened in shock. Leo, that will kill you! Maybe, but it'll stop them from ever using you again. Tears filled her eyes. No, please. You promised to be my daddy. Daddies don't die. Leo looked at her, his face softening. And daughters don't give up, so listen. When we hit the hangar bay, you're going to run. Find an escape pod. Don't argue, just go. Aya shook her head, her small hands gripping his arm. I won't leave you. He smiled sadly. You said you wanted me to pretend to be your dad. Well, a real dad's job is to protect his kid. Always. She sobbed quietly, her silver tears glimmering in the dim light. Please don't do this. The station loomed ahead, huge doors opening like the jaws of a beast. The Zareth ships followed close behind. Leo whispered, "Hold on tight." The Nomad's whisper plunged through the opening, crashing into the main hangar. Metal screamed, sparks exploded, and fire bloomed across the walls. Aya covered her head as alarms echoed through the massive chamber. Leo coughed through the smoke. "We made it." He looked at her one last time. "Go, Aya, run!" But Aya didn't move. She stared at the reactor controls, her small hands trembling. "If you die, I die too." Before Leo could answer, her body began to glow again, brighter than before. The light pulsed from her chest, flooding the hangar with blue fire. "Aya, what are you doing?" Her voice shook but stayed calm. "Saving my daddy." The ship's reactor suddenly stabilized. Energy surged back into the systems. The overload stopped. Leo's eyes widened. "You stopped the explosion?" She nodded weakly. "I gave it my power instead." But even as she smiled, her body began to fade, turning into particles of blue light. Leo reached for her. "No, Aya," she whispered, "don't be sad. You gave me something real. You made me feel loved." And with that, she vanished, leaving behind only a faint glow that drifted through the air like stardust. Leo fell to his knees, tears burning his eyes. "Aya." Outside, the Zareth ship slowed, scanning the hangar. The human ship was gone. Only light remained, soft, beautiful, and endless. And in that light, the warships began to crumble, their systems failing one by one. Aya's energy had spread, destroying every trace of her makers. Leo looked up through the smoke, whispering, "You really were a miracle, kid." The hangar fell silent. The trap had been set, but it was the hunters who were caught. The hangar was quiet. Too quiet. Fires still burned on the broken walls. Smoke floated in thin air, curling around the dim blue glow that was once Aya. Captain Leo sat on the cold floor of the wrecked ship, staring at the spot where she had disappeared. His hands were shaking, his face pale and covered with dust. He whispered her name. "Aya," no answer. Only silence. For a long moment, Leo didn't move. The world felt hollow. His ship was half destroyed. The Zareth warships were gone, turned to drifting ash by Aya's final burst of power. She had saved him. She had saved everyone, and she was gone. Leo lowered his head. "You didn't have to do that, kid," he said softly. "I was supposed to protect you." A spark of light floated past him. Then another. Tiny blue motes, like fireflies, filled the air, circling him. He blinked. "What?" The air shimmered. Slowly, a faint shape began to form in front of him. It was Aya, glowing, transparent, like a ghost made of starlight. Her voice was soft but clear. "Leo," he froze, afraid to breathe. "Aya, is that you?" She smiled, faint and tired. "I told you. My heart won't stop even if I do." Leo's eyes burned. You shouldn't have done that." "You gave up everything," she shook her head gently. "No, I gave back what they took from me. My choice." Her form flickered as if a breeze might blow her away. "They built me to be a weapon. But you showed me what it feels like to be something else, to be loved." Leo stood slowly, pain heavy in his chest. "Aya, listen to me. You're not done yet. We'll fix this. I'll get you out of that, whatever that is." She raised a glowing hand, stopping him. "You can't fix me this time, Daddy." The word hit him like a punch. Daddy. She had never said it with such warmth before. Her light dimmed slightly, but she continued. "The energy inside me is spreading. It's healing the nebula, the ships, the station. It's making everything new." Leo frowned. "What do you mean, healing?" Aya looked up at the ceiling where the smoke was fading. The veil of Varn was dying. All that energy was poison. My power is cleaning it. Someday this place will be full of life again. Leo shook his head in disbelief. "You're saving a whole nebula?" "Aya, that's impossible." She smiled faintly. "That's what you humans always say. Before you do it anyway." Leo couldn't help but laugh through his tears. "Yeah, guess you learned that from me." Her form flickered again, weaker now. "Leo, when I disappear, the ship's systems will shut down. You'll need to use the escape pod. Promise me you'll go. I'm not leaving you. You have to." He stepped forward, his voice breaking. Aya, I can't lose you again. Her light glowed brighter for a moment, filling the whole room with warmth. You won't, I'll still be here, just different. Leo looked around. Here where? She touched her chest, then pointed to his. In here, my energy will stay with you. The ship, it remembers me. You'll never be alone again. He felt something stir inside him, a faint warmth in his heart, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Aya smiled one last time.
Thank you for being my daddy.
Even if it was only for one day. Leo reached for her, but his hands passed through light. Aya, her voice echoed softly as her body faded. For me, that one day was forever. And then she was gone. The fires burned out. The station went still. Only the blue glow remained, spreading through the metal like veins of light. Leo stood there for a long time, silent. Then slowly he moved to the control panel. Everything was dead, except for one small crystal on the console. It pulsed faintly in time with his heartbeat. He picked it up carefully. It felt warm. He smiled sadly. You're still here, huh, kid? He placed the crystal around his neck with a wire. All right, let's go home. He walked to the escape pod, sealing the hatch. Outside the window, the nebula was no longer red and angry. It shimmered with blue life, like a field of stars being born. As the pod launched, Leo whispered to the stars, You saved more than me. Aya, you saved what's left of hope. He leaned back, closing his eyes. Behind him, the old station collapsed quietly, turning into glowing dust that drifted through space, peaceful, gentle, endless. And far away in the soft hum of the pod's engine, a child's voice whispered faintly, Goodbye, Daddy. Leo smiled. Goodbye, sweetheart. Then the stars swallowed the sound, carrying it into forever. Years passed. The nomad's whisper was long gone, scattered into stardust over the blue mist of the Vale of Varn. But Captain Leo lived. He drifted from planet to planet in a small ship built from the remains of the escape pod. The name painted across its hull read, Aya's Light. Everywhere he went, people asked about it. And every time Leo smiled softly and said, It's named after someone who saved the stars. The Vale of Varn had changed. Once a dead, angry cloud of radiation, it now shimmered with soft blue light, alive again. Ships passed safely through it now, calling it the Guardian's Halo. Scientists studied the strange new energy pulsing through it. No one could explain it. But Leo knew. It was Aya. Whenever he flew close, his ship's instruments flickered with faint blue sparks. The same heartbeat rhythm. The same hum. It was her way of saying hello. He often talked to her even though no one answered. Hey kid, he'd whisper. Still keeping the nebula in one piece? Still watching over your old man? Sometimes the light outside the ship shimmered brighter like a smile. Leo became a traveler, a teacher, and a storyteller. In human colonies and alien markets, in lonely mining bases and crowded ports, people gathered around him to listen. He told the story of a little alien girl who once whispered, Please, human, pretend to be my daddy for just one day, and how that one day changed everything. Children listened wide-eyed. Soldiers wiped tears quietly. Even the toughest spacers stayed still when Leo described how Aya glowed like a star, how her light filled the galaxy, how she gave her life so others could live. He never told it with bitterness. Only love. One quiet evening, Leo landed on a small moon near the edge of the nebula. He walked alone to a hill where the blue light touched the rocks. In his hands, he carried a crystal, Aya's crystal. It still glowed softly, faint but steady. He knelt and placed it in the ground. There, he whispered. Now you've got your own place in the stars. The wind was gentle. The light from the nebula painted his face in silver and blue. Leo smiled faintly. You'd like this view, Aya. You always liked pretty skies. He sat for a long while, talking quietly to the air. About his travels. About the kids who now knew her name. About the colonies that had rebuilt near the nebula because it was safe again. He said, You're a legend now, kid. The humans call you the Star Child. The aliens call you the Blue Flame. But to me, he smiled softly, you'll always just be my daughter. The wind shimmered again, and for a moment the faint blue mist swirled into a shape beside him. A small hand, glowing softly, resting on his shoulder. Leo didn't move. He just closed his eyes, feeling the warmth. When he opened them again, the light was gone. But the warmth remained. Years later, when Leo's ship was found drifting silently near the nebula, the rescuers found him in his pilot's chair, peaceful, eyes closed, the same faint smile on his face. The crystal around his neck glowed brighter than ever. When they tried to remove it, it pulsed once, then released a soft voice. "Sleep well, Daddy, I'll fly now." The rescuers never understood where the voice came from, but the nebula glowed brighter that night, lighting up the whole sector in blue. Centuries passed. Space travelers who crossed the Guardian's halo still told stories of the Star Child and her human father. They said on quiet nights, if you listen closely to the hum of your ship, you can hear a girl's laughter echoing faintly. And if you look long enough, you might see a freighter-shaped shadow drifting through the light, guided by a blue star that never dies. The legend spread across the galaxy. It became a story told to children before sleep. A little alien girl saved the stars with her heart, and a lonely human taught her how to love. And so, long after Captain Leo and Aya were gone, their bond lived on, stronger than time, brighter than any sun. Because sometimes one act of kindness, one promise kept, and one word, Daddy, is enough to change the universe forever.